So a jury in the nation's capital has convicted 4 Oath Keepers, members of the Oath Keepers group, and they've been convicted of seditious conspiracy. It is the second group of guilty verdicts related to the far-right group's efforts to block certification of the 2020 presidential election. The 4 members join Oath Keepers founder Stewart Rhodes and the group's Florida leader Kelly Meggs, who were both convicted on the same charge last November. The Washington Post points out that seditious conspiracy charges are rarely used and even more rarely successful, making the verdict another significant victory for the Justice Department. Of the nearly 1,000 people charged with crimes at the Capitol on January 6, 2021, less than 20 have been charged with seditious conspiracy. The 4 Oath Keepers convicted yesterday were also found guilty of obstruction of an official proceeding and conspiring to obstruct. Both the obstruction and sedition convictions carry up to 20 years in prison, but sentencing guidelines are likely to be in the range of 5 to 7 years. Seditious conspiracy is notoriously hard to prosecute. The law was first enacted after the Civil War to arrest Southerners who might keep fighting the U.S. government, and the charge has rarely been brought in recent memory, and with mixed results. The AP points out prior to these verdicts, the last successful seditious conspiracy trial was in the 1995 when Egyptian cleric Sheikh Omar Abdel Rahman and 9 followers were convicted in a plot to blow up the United Nations, an FBI building, and 2 tunnels and a bridge linking New York and New Jersey. Prosecutors also secured seditious conspiracy convictions in another, now largely forgotten, storming of the Capitol building back in 1954.
So, Jean, this doesn't happen much, and these are all signposts that I think we may look back on when, I'm speculating here, but when or if Donald Trump is charged for activities on January the 6th, we can look back and see all of these people being convicted for seditious conspiracy in the name of Donald Trump, for the benefit of Donald Trump, by the direction, at least indirectly, of Donald Trump. You look at all the other people who have been convicted, and it's just hard to believe in America that a Justice Department would allow all of these people to be convicted of seditious conspiracy, performing a conspiracy, working together for Donald Trump's benefit at Donald Trump's urging. And the Justice Department is just going to let Donald Trump just stand back and cheat and lie to win golf tournaments at his country clubs. I don't see it happening.
Well, it wouldn't make sense, would it, Joe? Because if you're going to charge seditious conspiracy, you need to charge the guy who led the seditious conspiracy, who organized it, who summoned the mob, including these organized groups like the Oath Keepers and Proud Boys, summoned them to Washington to stop the certification of the election that he lost, and to illegally and unconstitutionally keep him in office in what would have amounted to a coup d'etat. So I don't see how you fail to go. I mean, that's the main thing that happened on January 6th. That's the heart of the matter, and it seems to me that just to be honest about it, the Justice Department has to go after Trump for what he did, for the principal act in this seditious conspiracy.
I mean, and Gaddy, a seditious conspiracy without a lead conspirator? It doesn't make sense, and I don't think people inside the Justice Department think that makes much sense. Is it likely we're going to see Donald Trump brought up on charges for his activities leading to the riots on January the 6th?
Look, what the Justice Department wants to make sure is that when they bring charges, if they bring charges, they have a very good chance of convicting the former president because they know how monumental and historic that would be. But it's true that it's hard to imagine a framework in which you have a conspiracy that does not have some kind of leadership. Conspiracies are generally, they're not amorphous things. They are generally driven by somebody. They're generally in the name of somebody. And the indications from the Justice Department are that they're taking this very seriously and they're looking at all the possibilities and they're looking at all the charges. But again, they don't want to charge the former president, especially not with something that is as big as, or would be as big as, seditious conspiracy, without being very sure that they were going to lead to a conviction.
Well, and you wrote the book, Jonathan Lemire, on this, obviously. We have, of course, during the presidential debate, Oath Keepers stand back, our Proud Boys stand back and stand by. Come on January the 6th, it's going to be wild. You have the war room that was set up at the Willard Hotel. You have Donald Trump
saying I'll be down there
in the middle bit, telling everybody to rush. I mean, you wrote the entire book on this. I find it hard to believe that all of these people that were his foot soldiers doing exactly what he had directed them to do are going to be sent to jail while Donald Trump is going to be cheating to win golf tournaments at his country clubs.
And then, of course, there was his call to arms, that tweet saying that January 6th will be wild. This is the President Trump, while in office, stoked these lies. He stoked these conspiracies. He primed the pump for the violence on January 6th. He was the one who was out there on Twitter giving interviews, suggesting, without evidence, of course, that the election was rigged and unfair. And that's what led that mob to the Capitol. And as we talk about the political peril that surrounds Donald Trump, there had been this sort of suggestion that the classified documents case at Mar-a-Lago, that would be the, quote, easy one to bring. And that, of course, that political water got muddied because of what we're seeing now with the current president, though the legal cases should be separate. But there is a growing sense here that there could be charges stemming from the 2020 election as well. That, yes, it would be harder. It's harder to prove that the January 6th ties, even though we can talk about it here and they seem obvious to us. But in terms of proving in a court of law, there was always the sense it'd be more difficult. But convictions like these add to the belief that it is possible. And whether it is the Fulton County jury down in Georgia or something in Washington, that it is possible, perhaps even growing likelihood that he might face charges for what he did that led to the violence on January 6th.